please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
And we have all these stocks which are moving. But Archana Shukla, our colleague, is in conversation with Umang Vora, the MD and Global CEO of Cipla. Let's cut across.
At the helm of this new journey is Umang Vora, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the company. And today he joins us here on CNBC TV 18 to help us understand how much of that journey has he completed. Thank you, Umang, for sparing time for CNBC TV 18. First up, it's been almost 2 years that you've joined. A lot of changes in Cipla, a lot of work, a lot of consolidation that you've done in the business. What, on operational side, what are the changes that we are now seeing in terms of, the results of this consolidation?
So thank you. I think your introduction right at the beginning was better than the question that you asked me, but I'm gonna try and take a stab at it. I think operationally our teams have rallied around try to improve the outcomes we have in some of our key markets. And we'll start with patient outcomes, whether it's in India or it's in South Africa, in the US, some of our emerging markets. We've actually taken a lot of initiative to reach out to patients digitally, otherwise through the doctors. And I think all of that is coming to bear. So this is our customer reaching activity. We've done a lot on costs. Our CFO, Kedar, is a ruthless cost champion. He keeps going after costs that we can find. And I think the results of that we're seeing in our numbers as we're beginning to see them over the last, I would say, 18 months or so. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And I think the teams are working excessively hard. These are not just cost-cutting measures, but they are measures that remove complexity in our business. Complexity is a measure of costs. Eventually leads to costs. So we cut markets, we look at supply chains, we look at alternate ways in which we could sell products, buy products, and all of that has been work that's ongoing. We've made, I think, a couple of definitive shifts. We've taken bio, and we've restructured that business quite a bit. Europe was pretty much restructured. So all of that, I would like to believe, is behind us. And I think we've positioned our company now at a certain platform. From here, at a certain platform with a certain operating metric, we've been guiding towards 18 to 20% EBITDA. And now when we look back, we find it difficult to believe that we were not even there a few years back. So I think we're on track. I'm a little concerned about our revenue and how well we could grow them, which means what are we bringing to patients which is new, exciting, and important for them to have, either from a wellness perspective or from curing a certain condition. So I think that's the path we're in.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question, which was on the revenue front. A lot of this consolidation has meant that there is not so much sustainability as far as revenues is concerned. And when we speak to a lot of investors, this is one concern that they have. While they feel that, with all the headwinds in the US market, you are still, somewhere better off compared to the other competitors. But as far as revenue picture is concerned, doesn't look that great.
Yeah. So revenue is a challenge. I think it's not just a challenge only for the players with big businesses in the US. It's a challenge even for us. And I think there are a couple of reasons for it. We have to factor in disruptions, right? So I was at a meeting recently and I told my team that, look, a quarter in a year, something or the other will happen, right? So last year we had demonetization. So talking India, just India. This year you had GST. And in reform-oriented environments and governments, businesses have to adapt to these type of situations. So we're adapting to that. But that basically means a quarter gets disrupted of your growth cycle. And India is a sizable market for us. The emerging side of the world, you have volatility and things like that, right? But I'd like to believe in our core markets. If we look at India, we look at US, we look at South Africa, and some of the large emerging markets, I think our growth story is intact. We've even grown Europe this year. So I'm of the opinion that I'm not unduly concerned about growth trajectories within our core markets.
But A lot of your core markets have also changed over years. Earlier Africa used to be one of your biggest businesses, and now you're focusing more on US. And not to say that not focusing on Africa, but then there are other markets that are taking priority over what it used to be earlier, and that in turn is impacting and obviously putting a lot of question mark in terms of sustainability.
Yeah, and I think that's a portfolio. It's an overall organizational portfolio question that you raised, and you're right. We've retooled. We're now back to the US as a focus area. It's the largest market in the world. And because of that, we've had to cut markets as well. So emerging markets is, the bigger markets in that get the attention. The smaller markets don't get as much attention from a business perspective. Now we're trying to correct this, right? I don't think we'd like to be in a market where we can't sustainably supply medicines. But at the same time, I think what Cipla is looking to do is a little beyond this, right? Cipla is saying the generic business will continue the way it is. It's going to be predicated on patent expiries. It's going to be predicated on volume growth in India and the other markets. But I think what's more important for us to do is to begin to figure out how we can solve needs of customers, needs of our patients. What are those unmet needs, right? Why does a family, the hope that we see with families, what do they want in treatment options? And it may not just be products or drugs.
That has anyways been the core of Cipla for decades together.
Yes. So we have to do more of it, right? Because we were doing, for a while, we were doing a lot in HIV. I now think that we will be doing a lot more on respiratory, right? I now think that we'll be doing a lot more in the area of CNS in the US.